Are you overwhelmed by obligations? Feel like you're constantly giving but rarely receiving? Or maybe you struggle with saying no when you really need to. If that sounds familiar, then Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend may be the life-changing guide you need. This book has helped millions regain control, reduce stress, and build healthier relationships by simply understanding when to say yes, and how to say no. What are boundaries? Boundaries are personal limits that define what we're responsible for and what we're not. This book reveals that understanding boundaries can transform how we manage our time, energy, and relationships. Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend define boundaries as a way to differentiate what is me and not me, ensuring that each person takes responsibility for their own actions, feelings, and thoughts. In their words, boundaries define us. They define what is me and what is not me. Example: imagine if everyone's lawn was shared, and you had to water not only your own lawn but your neighbor's too. It would get exhausting, right? In the same way, when we don't set clear boundaries, we end up exhausted and drained. Why we need boundaries? We all have areas in life that require boundaries: family, friendships, work, and even our relationship with ourselves. Boundaries help us define how much time, energy, and resources we are willing to invest. The book emphasizes that without boundaries, we feel controlled by others, which often leads to stress and resentment. Boundaries encourages readers to take ownership of their lives by setting limits. Types of boundary problems. Narrator describes key boundary challenges. There are different types of boundary challenges, like having no boundaries at all, having boundaries that are too rigid, or only saying yes out of fear. Some people, like Sherry, the character introduced in the book, tend to take on others' responsibilities, unable to say no, which ultimately leads to burnout. On the other hand, some people build walls so high that they shut everyone out, causing isolation. How to set healthy boundaries. Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend outline practical steps for establishing boundaries. It starts with recognizing where you're overextended and identifying areas where you need to regain control. Key strategies include: start small, begin by setting boundaries in low-stakes situations. Practice saying no to minor requests, and observe how it feels. Use no as a complete sentence. When setting boundaries, a simple no is enough. You don't need to over-explain or justify your limits. Communicate clearly and kindly. It's important to express boundaries with clarity and compassion to maintain relationships and avoid misunderstandings. Expect resistance. Not everyone will accept your new boundaries right away. The book emphasizes standing firm even when faced with pushback. Example of setting boundaries. Imagine your boss constantly asking you to stay late. The next time they ask, instead of automatically saying yes, try responding with, "I've done extra hours this week already, so I'll be leaving on time today." Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're less of a team player, it means you're protecting your energy so you can perform better in the long run. Addressing guilt and myths about boundaries. Boundaries also tackles common myths, like the idea that setting limits is selfish or unkind. On the contrary, boundaries enable us to care for others in a healthier way, free from resentment. Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend address the guilt many people feel when they first start enforcing boundaries, emphasizing that we are responsible to others, not for others. This distinction is crucial for avoiding burnout. The laws of boundaries. The authors outline the 10 laws of boundaries, which include principles like the law of sowing and reaping. This law teaches us that actions have consequences. By not rescuing others from the outcomes of their choices, we allow them to learn and grow. The law of responsibility. This law reminds us that we are responsible for our own feelings and actions, not those of others. The law of exposure. Boundaries need to be communicated directly. Silent expectations lead to misunderstandings. Boundaries with specific relationships. Whether it's setting limits with family, partners, or co-workers, boundaries provide specific guidance for each type of relationship. Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend stress the importance of communicating boundaries lovingly, as healthy relationships should respect mutual boundaries. Example of family boundaries. If a family member frequently makes unreasonable demands, setting a boundary might involve saying, "I can help with this specific task, but I won't be able to assist every time you ask." Healthy family relationships respect each person's boundaries. Conclusion: the freedom in boundaries. Boundaries teaches us that saying yes to what truly matters sometimes means saying no to what doesn't. By setting boundaries, we find freedom and create space for genuine connections. The ultimate takeaway? Boundaries aren't walls but guidelines for a balanced, joyful life. So, if you're looking to regain control over your time, relationships, and peace of mind, give boundaries a read. It may just change your life.